Here is this, if I read, I don't know if that'll read, it might read, so it's there. Here's the whatever service you need there. Here are things I'm going to say. I'm going to put this here, that's there. I don't know. Maybe. Page one.
Maya Fe'ayom, Shabbat Shalom. Maya Fe'ayom, Shabbat Shalom. Again, Maya Fe'ayom, Shabbat Shalom. Maya Fe'ayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Maya Fe'ayom. Shabbat, Shalom. Maya Fe'ayom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Last time. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. As everyone's getting seated, getting comfortable, it's wonderful to have you here. If you're visiting, look forward to meeting you. I know we had some time outside. I also know we have a few people who couldn't make it tonight. They were worried about the heat or their own health. I know that the members, the residents of Staten and others watch the service. So for everybody at home, whether you're watching the service now on our stream or at 10 at night in your pajamas, because we know a lot of people tune in late, I want to wish you Shabbat Shalom as well and welcome you to join us on this Shabbat. It's wonderful on the beaming of Eric Lawrence, a member of our board of directors, and our president, Robert Simon, and of course, Jean Salve, our music director, here on the bema with us this Shabbat. This is it's an in-between Shabbat. It's not Labor Day weekend, but it feels like Labor Day weekend. What I mean by that is parents are bringing their kids to school. They're getting used to getting up in the morning, and the front two rows are emptier than even usual, but everybody's really focused on a lot of things. But we're glad you're here with us, whether in person or at home. And we're here to welcome Shabbat and one another. And so as we often do, let's take a moment to get ready for Shabbat. And the first way we do that is by exhaling. Maybe you rushed to get here. Maybe you left something in the oven. I hope you didn't. Maybe you were just running. So we're here now. We're together. And it's Shabbat. And we also welcome Shabbat by welcoming each other. So especially if you see a visitor, but it could be a long-lost friend, take a moment and wish each other Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Yes. Oh, perfect. We continue with the lighting of Shabbat candles. Now that we've welcomed each other, we welcome Shabbat And what we do, or what is optional, you don't have to do it, is you can feel free to come up in a moment and light one of the tea candles and welcome Shabbat with us if you're comfortable doing so. And then we will light the larger candles and join in the blessing together. The blessing over lighting Shabbat candles can be found on page 120. And if you're visiting, you will notice that you might have thinner books or thicker prayer books. Some of these are all-week prayer books. Some of these are Shabbat-only prayer books. So if you pull a prayer book up and it has more than one set of page numbers, if you don't, just ignore what I'm saying. But if you pick up a prayer book that has more than one set of page numbers, I'll always be referring to the page number in brackets. So we'll find the blessing on page 120 as we prepare to welcome Shabbat with the lighting of Shabbat candles.
Oh, hear my prayer, I sing to you. Be
Gracious to the ones I love, and bless them with goodness and mercy and peace. Oh, hear my prayer to you.
Oh, hear my prayer, I sing
Hear
to
my prayer. Be gracious to the ones I love, and bless them with goodness and mercy and peace. Oh, hear my prayer to you. Let us light these lights and see the way to you, and let us say Amen. Let us light these lights and see the way to you, and let us say Amen.
We'll join together in the candle lighting. Jeannie, will you light our candles for us? And again, those prayers on page 120. We'll figure it out in a second. So, we're gonna find out. Sorry. This is just, a reminder, Thank Okay, we're back. It's nope, you have. Here we go. Things have a way of happening, but we like to say better now than in 6 weeks for Rosh Hashanah. So there we go. Thank you. Things just have a way of happening, right? So that's a perfect, I'm going to keep the microphone this way so it picks up John and the rest of you, and I'll just kind of stand back and forth. That's our sound system. It happens occasionally. But it's a good segue. Every once in a while I ask a question, and then people are gripped by terror because they wonder what the right answer is, even though there is no right answer, or there's many right answers. So I want to ask you a question, and I'm going to come back to it in 15 or 20 minutes, so you've had lots of time to obsess over the answer. And our question for this Shabbat is, we've been talking for 2-3 weeks now about the book of Deuteronomy, Devarim, the last book of the Torah, which is going to walk us up to Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Simchat Torah. And my Shabbat question for you is, how is the book of Deuteronomy like the dinner you have with your friends after you return from a summer vacation? So I'm going to say it again, because I wish I could take a picture of your faces. How is the book of Deuteronomy? Let's remember the book of Deuteronomy. Moses retelling the story of the Jewish people. It's all in Moses' words. It's schlepping through the desert to the death of Moses. Everything's already happened. It is the second Torah, the second retelling. Everything's in Moses' words. How is the book of Deuteronomy like dinner with your friends? Because many of us have done this recently, after you return from your summer vacation. And now that I've completely distracted you, we'll continue with L'cha Dodi. You can find L'cha Dodi, which is not the answer to that question, but extra points if you connected. Page 138, Kabbalat Shabbat is how we welcome Shabbat. We welcome Shabbat lighting candles. We welcome Shabbat by finding out the sound system's acting up. We welcome Shabbat by saying hello to one another. And we welcome Shabbat with the words of L'cha Dodi, this special piyut, this liturgical poem that was written about 500 years ago in northern Israel. And it compares Shabbat to a bride. And with that eagerness of first love, however harried our week, we run back to Shabbat. And if you're visiting for the first time, when we get to the last stanza, we all rise, we face the back, the direction of the setting sun, symbolically to welcome Shabbat in our midst. And I say that because if you're visiting, you'll wonder why everybody's standing up and facing you. But they're not. They're welcoming Shabbat. And so we begin on 138.
L'cha Dodi likrat kala, p'nei Shabbat nekabela. L'cha Dodi likrat kala, p'nei Shabbat nekabela. L'cha Dodi, L'cha Dodi likrat kala, p'nei Shabbat nekabela. L'cha Dodi likrat kala, p'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, Hishmiranu echam yuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shemo tiferet l'ditila. L'cha Dodi, L'cha Dodi likrat kala, p'nei Shabbat nekabela. L'cha Dodi likrat kala, p'nei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat v'chul nelcha, ki mikor ha'baracha, merosh mekem nesucha, sof ma'aseh Shabbat tefila. L'cha Dodi, L'cha Dodi likrat kala, p'nei Shabbat nekabela. L'cha Dodi likrat kala, p'nei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri, ki v'oreku mi uri, shir dameri, kevod Adonai alayim nila. L'cha Dodi, L'cha Dodi likrat kala, p'nei Shabbat nekabela. L'cha Dodi likrat kala,
Verse 9.
Shalom ateret bala, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוכן גודי ים סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לך דודי דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת
כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Please be seated. We continue with Psalms, and a part of this section of Kabbalat Shabbat, the Psalms which ask us to be aware, self-aware of our daily miracles at the moments when the noise of the week prevent us from seeing or hearing them. Page 140.
Be singing just the first 3 lines. Just the first 3 lines.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון.
Again.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון.
I'm going to ask you to bear with me and turn to page 206. We're going to come back to the Friday night service. We're not done, but there's a reading, a teaching from the Talmud that is incorporated into the daily morning service, but there's no reason you can't say it at night. And it is, although part of a legal section of the Talmud, a daily reflection that is the form of a psalm, I think, and that causes us to think about what miracles are and how we infuse our days with great meaning. Page 206. So please turn to page 206 and let's read together. These are things that are limitless, of which a person enjoys the fruit of the world, while the principle remains the world to come. They are honoring one's father and mother, engaging in deeds of compassion, arriving early for study, morning and evening, dealing graciously with guests, visiting the sick, providing for the wedding couple, accompanying the dead for burial, being devoted in prayer, and making peace among people. But the study of Torah encompasses them all. How do we infuse our days with greatness? What are the acts that make our times meaningful and sacred? Just something to think about. As we flip back, thank you for indulging me, to page 144 as we turn to the Chatzi Kaddish.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ימך מלכותי, בך היכונו יומך ובחיתך בית ישראל. בגדלה ובזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן. יהי שמירה במנורה לעולם לא מעלמיה. יתברך וישתבח, יתהר יתרומם יתנשא, ויתהדר יתעלה ויתעלה. שמי דקודשם ריחו לעולם כל ברכתה ושירתה. תושבחתה ונחמתה, דן מעירם ימה, ויאמרו amen.
Let's read together at the bottom of page 145. Entrances to holiness are everywhere. possibility of ascent is all the time, even at unlikely times, through unlikely places. There is no place on earth without the presence. We rise for the Baruch Hu, remain standing if able through the Shema.
Baruch et Adonai, Amevorach. Baruch Adonai, Amevorach, Leolam Vaed.
Turn to page 148 and read together at the bottom of the page. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the times, and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness, darkness from light, transforming day into night, and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzvaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, brings on the evening. Baruch atah Adonai, Amariv Aravim.
Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael.
Please be seated as together we join on page 155 with this English version of the Via Hafta. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Work, whether you are tired or you are rested. Let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot, so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai, your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai, your God. Nancy Lee Gassells writes, in reflecting on this next prayer. Somewhere out of time, in the mystery of time, somewhere between memory and forgetfulness, dimly though I remember how once I stood at your mountain trembling amid the fire and the thunder, how I stood there out of bondage in a strange land and afraid, and you loved me and you fed me, and I feasted on your words. And yes, I can remember how the thunder was my heart and the fire was my soul. Oh God, I do remember. The fire burns in me anew, and here I am once more, a witness to that timeless moment, present now in the light of your Torah. I am free. I am reborn.
Mi kamocha
Ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, norati hilot oseh feleh, norati hilot oseh feleh, malchutcha rahul vanecha, bokei hayam, lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, zeli anu ve'amru, Adonai imloch, Adonai imloch, le'olam va'ed. Page 161. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts, eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, haporetz sukat shalom aleinu, v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim. Einu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom, v'ha'amideinu shomreinu l'chaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Amen. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod, Malchut Lo le'olam va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod, Malchut Lo le'olam va'ed. Hashkirenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom, v'ha'amideinu shomreinu l'chaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Amen. The next section of our service, which begins on page 164, is sort of a setup, because the next 16 pages are part of Amidah Tefillah. The name of the prayer is the prayer. That sets it pretty high. And it begins with our connection to Abraham and Sarah, people who had incredible visions and their children. And then we find our own place. But it sets this daunting challenge to find holiness, our own place in holiness. And that's why we all begin together and then we continue silently on our own. So after we begin together standing, we can continue standing. We can continue seated. We can read the prayers on the page. We can look out the window. We can look at the Hebrew. But we often lose our place in connecting because it's setting this bar. Have a holy moment right now in the next 25 seconds or else. It's quite a tall order. And so I think that's why this introduction is added later in the history of the prayer. To say, oh my gosh, God, help us find the words. Help us find the right way to know what we say. I can't just turn it on. I can't just speak to you now. I know you set this time, 6:44 in the service, but maybe I'm not feeling it right now. And so in a way, the prayer is a prayer for us. Before we get to Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, before we sing of God's holiness, before we think of praising you at all time, let's just see if we can find a moment to find ourselves, a moment to connect. And so I invite you, even as we join in this prayer together, when we continue silently, to think about those moments buried in the busyness of our week. The moments when we said, wow. Maybe we didn't call it God. Maybe we didn't connect it to any grand plan. But for one moment, the things that bugged us less. It's hard to find those moments, especially when we compare ourselves to Abraham and Sarah, or Moses and Miriam. Adonai Sevatai Tiftach, God, help us find the words amidst the noise and anger and the destruction and the busyness and the distraction of our modern lives. Page 164. Please rise.
Adonai Sefatai Tita Ufi Yagita Bilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu Imoteinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'mevii Gula l'bnei bneihem, L'ma'an Shemo v'Yahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei hakol atah le'Moshiach, Mechacher Chaim le'Chesed, Mechayei hakol le'Rachamim Rabim. So Omer Noflim Verofei Cholim U'Matir Asurim U'Mekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar Michamocha Be'al Geburot U'Midno Melach Melech Mevit U'Mayeh U'Matzmiach Yeshua V'Ne'eman Atah L'Hadayot
Page 173 together. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy, our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mikadesh HaShabbat. Please feel free to continue on your own the next few pages, however you wish. Okay, so I've given you lots of time. So, how is the book of Deuteronomy like dinner with your friends after you return from a summer vacation? Any ideas? All right, Jim, excellent.
Well, probably after you get through with what's new, you rehash your past.
You rehash your past. That's great. So you come home and you're going over it all over again. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Which is what Moses is doing. That's wonderful. He's retelling it. And of course, he's the center of the story. He's the narrator. We can go with that if anybody, that's great. If anybody else thought of anything. They're both travel logs. That's great too, yes. Yeah. Those are good. Yes, to me. I'm not, he's looking for the right answer. They're all the right answer. Yeah. Yeah, right. We're telling we met this great guy and he said this funny thing. Now he's the part of our story, but it's all through our eyes. We're rehashing, we're retelling details, we're emphasizing different things. Right? Mimi and I went horseback riding. If I tell the story or she tells the story, very different versions of that experience. We can go, we can stop. It's always like the right answer, you know? I'm spoiled because Patty Wood, who helped me out, is on our office staff, and she's very outspoken. And I said, this is a fair question, right? And Patty just jumped right in there for 5 minutes. We can stop there. I thought I'd put it out. These are all correct, as if I could tell you what's correct, right? We're rehashing. We're making it a travelogue. We're telling it differently. We're putting ourselves in the center. It's a different story. And also, what's it like when you're the friend of the person telling the story about their summer vacation over dinner? What's that like? Everyone's nervous. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's, I wish we'd gone there. Sometimes it's I just feel bad listening to you. You know, I didn't do this. We went off the cliff, so we went diving. And you're like, I'd never do that. It was incredible. We had the most amazing experience of our life. Why didn't you invite me? It's nice to hear it, and we're polite. But at a certain point, if we're not careful, we move toward envy or resentment or who knows, right? Or our friend says, remember, we're going to the place you told us to go to. But when we went, we did something new that you never do. And it was so amazing, and you should have done it. Excuse me if I'm not going to get on a plane and go over there. The book of Deuteronomy is Moses' travelogue of the Jewish people. The story he came down, it's not his summer vacation, but it's his retelling of these incredible, awesome events. The entire book of Deuteronomy. From the beginning 2 weeks ago to the ending with his death at Simchat Torah in about 8 weeks, it is Moses telling. And as such, the most important thing to Moses is that the Jews will keep the laws. So every story has a point. And the point can be summed up by the first word of this week's Torah portion, which is Ekev. And Ekev means if. If you do this, it will be good. If you don't do this, it will be bad. And we, the people listening, are one step removed from the experience of awe. No matter how incredible our pictures are, that we share, it's not our experience. We can appreciate it. It's not a moment of awe. If you've had this experience, correct me, but most of us, we enjoy sharing with our friends, but we don't look at a picture of a waterfall and go, wow, I felt what you felt when you were under that waterfall. If anything, the pictures have removed us a step from it. It's a nice story. It's not necessarily a sacred experience. We were there, we were walking, we saw something. You wouldn't believe it. It transformed our lives. We have a good time having dinner with our friends. But you can correct me after services if you've driven home and said, wow, that was like an awe-inspiring dinner. I was touched by God hearing about their trip to the Galapagos. It doesn't happen. And that's the challenge of the book of Deuteronomy. The book of Deuteronomy removes us from those moments. It also sets up for us the expectation that holy moments occur at places like Mount Sinai. After all, what we lose reading the book of Deuteronomy is the story from the thousands of other people. Because the book of Deuteronomy is the story of Moses and the Jewish people, but it's the story of Moses and Jewish people through Moses' eyes. So here's what we don't hear in the book of Deuteronomy. We don't hear about the new babies being born. We don't hear about the people dying on the journey. We don't hear about the person searching for their goat that ran off and went to someone else's area and they can't get the goat back. We don't hear the stories of the fights. We don't hear the passing of the generation. We don't hear the day-to-day miracles that occur on that journey to everybody else. And the book of Deuteronomy sets up the expectation that moments that we are touched by God will be those incredible moments. Those moments we'll never forget. Those moments under the waterfall and not those moments during life. We are removed from these incredible moments. So the book of Deuteronomy sets up for us, I would dare say, an unrealistic expectation. It doesn't share the story of the person going through the desert with Moses and saying, wow, I'm exhausted, I'm tired, I'm complaining, but that was an amazing sunrise. That was an incredible rainstorm. Keeping our connection to sacred moments is a challenge reading these books. How do we do it? How do we find the incredible? This is on my mind for a variety of reasons, not the least of which is that tomorrow night, some of us are going to watch the movie Grand Canyon. It's a 32-year-old movie. Lawrence Kasdan tells the story of a group of lost people in their 40s who are trying to find their way to holiness again. even if they don't use their words. They're looking for Sinai moments, even if they don't use their words. And caught in the noise of everyday Los Angeles, one of the characters comes home, and his wife tells him, I've seen something incredible, and I want to tell you about it. And her husband says to her, I'm getting a headache. She says, no, you're not. And he says, I'm not. She says, no, and I'll tell you why I reject your headache. Because it's inappropriate. If I'm right and these events are truly miracles, then it's an inappropriate response to get a headache in the presence of a miracle. Kind of conversations we have at home. The book of Deuteronomy removes us a step from Sinai moments because it invites us to see them secondhand. It invites us to separate our days into the awesome and the regular. Rabbi Mecklenburger and I were talking this week about a book he gave me that one of his friends, Rabbi Michael Zedek, wrote, a book about finding miracles in the day-to-day of your life. The book states a lot of obvious precisely because we take a lot of obvious for granted. And Rabbi Zedek tells an incredible story where he is studying with Rabbi Gershon Hadass at the end of his life. And the rabbi is blind, and Rabbi Zedek has to read the commentary to him, and then they study together. And Rabbi Gershon says to Rabbi Zedek, I have a question for you. When do we say the Shechianu? And Rabbi Zedek says, we say the Shechianu when we do something for the first time, or the first season ever. And Rabbi Gershon Hadass says, no, you're wrong. And Rabbi Zedek says, no, that's the right answer. That's what they taught us in school. And he says, but every time you do something, it's the first time. To which Rabbi Zedek says, you're right. In other words, at any moment we could be saying the Shechianu, but the rabbis focus on the right time because we would just say it all the time, but it sets up this false dichotomy between holy moments and regular moments, as if only certain times are worthy of saying, blessed are you, O Lord our God, who sustained me, kept me alive, and brought me to this moment. And so our mission then, somehow amidst the noise of life, is to realize that every sunrise is a miracle. That every rainstorm, with or without a rainbow, is a miracle. That bumping into someone in the supermarket presents the opportunity for awe and awareness. We bump into someone we know in the supermarket, we don't think of it as a profound moment, but if we take the time to pay attention, we might notice the scars from a surgery. We might notice the bags under the eyes of a parent who just had a baby. Life happens while we're showing pictures of our vacations. And the moments that might be occurring aren't the dinner where we're showing pictures of our vacations. Life happens when we bump into our friend at the supermarket. Life happens in every moment and every dream. Rabbi Abraham Heschel tells us that awe is more than an emotion. Awe is a way of understanding. Awe is insight into a meaning greater than ourselves, and the beginning of awe is wonder, and the beginning of wisdom is awe. And in case I've lost you, it's wonder, it's awe, it's wisdom. It's wow, that's a moment. I've just noticed that moment, and from there comes a wisdom to our life amidst the noise of our world and the craziness and all of the things that escape us. I'm not going to give you an easy answer because then it'd be an easy answer. But I would say to you that maybe part of our job is not just finding the miracles in the big moments, looking for the Sinai moments, the sea opening moments, but finding awareness and awe in the quiet moments. How do we find the quiet moments? Well, there's many ways. But of course, that's where Shabbat comes in. Shabbat done right is the awareness machine. If we've gone 6 days We barely got our kids to school, or we barely drove our grandkids to school, and having done it until recently, oh my gosh, you're grateful, but it's like a different kind of grateful. To suddenly realize, what an incredible moment in my life. The children are a year older, and I just barely got them to the first day of school. Or I just barely ran over to cover my grandkids because I got a call, we've got a problem, rush over. Or today I went to the doctor and I didn't hear bad news. What an incredible moment. But we don't do that most days. So we get the awareness machine, the machine that leads us to the steps of wonder, awe, wisdom that Rabbi Heschel talks to. How do we create that? Well, maybe we can't do it for 25 hours, 24 hours. But can we do it for a little bit of time? Can we turn off the phone, go for the walk? I don't know. Hug somebody new, eat something special. Look at our backyard and notice something. I don't have to give you the steps. We know them. The Sinai moments. Because while the book of Deuteronomy was taking place, there were a whole series of stories we didn't hear. People were born, people died, people dreamed, people fought, people fell in love, people tended to their goats. And they were all waiting for the sea to open again, while all these other miracles were taking place. What are we missing while we look for those miracles? Every single moment, as Rabbi Zedek reminds us, is a Shehechianu moment. So the question is not, what did you do during your vacation? Which is a good question. The question is, what miraculous things happened while we sat with our friends and heard about their vacation? What else took place during the book of Deuteronomy? And what else takes place when we're reading the book of Deuteronomy? Well, while we're reading the book of Deuteronomy the next 6 weeks, we are arriving at Rosh Hashanah. We are arriving at the holiday of new beginnings. So let's try to create Shehechianu moments. No, let me correct myself. Let's take the time, at least once a week, to find the Shehechianu moments that we are missing. Let's say Shehechianu at least once each week for something that is a miracle that we forgot to notice. We turn to page, what? That's my clunky segue. Boom. Mishmeo?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sing a Shehechianu.
Let's sing a Shehechianu.
Baruch Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam, Shehechianu v'hi amanu, v'hi amanu lazman hazeh. So here's where I meant to go with that. We come to Misha B'Erach. Thank you, John. And the Misha B'Erach is tricky. The Misha B'Erach is tricky because we pray to get well. What happens when we don't get well? Does that mean God's not listening? Or maybe we're doing it all wrong. Maybe the Misha B'Erach is about awareness. Maybe the Misha B'Erach is about saying, at this moment of breath, I'm going to pray for strength. I'm going to pray for health. I'm going to give thanks for the people who are there to hold my hand. I'm going to give thanks for the doctors who take care of me. I'm going to give thanks for the people who remember my name and say a prayer for me. And maybe the healing is as much for the person as sick. Maybe the healing is for me, the one who is doing the remembering and praying. On this Shabbat, we remember Christopher Long and Jeannie Rosenblum, Ann Westerman, Barbara Leffer, Gordon Brody, Susan Schultz, Irv Rubinson, Sharon Brenner, Steve Nathan, John Freed, Kevin Lehrer, Arnie Pell, George Berger, Jackie Brow, Bob Lewis, Stephanie Smith, Hans Grimm, Alan Feinberg, Leslie Arnov, Judy Kotler Goldberg, Sue Lurie, David Rahib, John Rubin, Cindy Love, Mina Devora Bat Ruth Jacob, Sammy Welch, Orion Lawson, Laura Golden, Michael Ganat, and Rabbi Evan Goodman, and other names you might like to add as I look to you.
Richard Simon, Tim Harper, and Pat.
Page 371. We join together. Bera avoteinu mikor abraha imotenu me the source of strength who bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishebera imotenu mikor abraha liabotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. We turn to page 586. We face the open ark for Aleinu. Please be seated. I say Kaddish for you, with you, as you. I used to be part of you, protected by your presence, by your light. But now the time is mine and alone. I must be more than myself. Your child has become your heir and has become you. As we take time to remember, we note those who have passed away in the 30-day period of mourning, known as Shloshim. We mention Martha Lanier Reed, sister of John Lanier. We mention the yahrzeits, the anniversaries of their deaths, of these members of our congregation that are observed this week. Benjamin H. Burke, Molly Berkowitz, Irving I. Bach, Liba Nahalinsky Coopersmith, Belle Covet, Charles Crystal, Paul Divinus, Ashley Fetterman, Harold Gernsbacher, Regina S. Gernsbacher, Doris Grisham, Ella Rosenbaum Harris, Rose Hochberg, Ted Krakover, Lester M. Landman, Gladys Lawrence, Samuel Lurie, Jane Gernsbacher Meyerson, I. William Nussbaum, Irving D. Pruden, Chaim Rabinowitz, Lee Ross, Henry David Schlinger, Nathan Schoenfield, Myra Schussler, U.M. Simon, Joseph Harold Singer, James Stack, Walter Stone, Louis Tushin, Jean Watley. If you have another name observed this week that you would like to mention, we all join to offer support and rise for those we mention, those we may remember, and those who lie in unmarked graves with none to say Kaddish for them but us. Page 598. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah bi'alma divrach irutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chai echon v'yom echon b'chai d'chol Beit Yisrael bagalal v'zman kari v'imru. Amen. Yeh shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam l'mei maya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitala shmei d'kucha b'richu leila min chol berchata shirata tush b'chata v'nechamata damiram bi'amal v'imru. Amen. Yeh shlama Rabbah min shemaya v'chaim alinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. O say shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom alinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Zichronam levracha. May their memories be a blessing to us and all who knew them. Amen. Please be seated. One very quick announcement, which is, and I have to say it this week or two, that we are, what is today, the 23rd? We are 8 days away for the deadline for getting in your Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur High Holiday forms online or in the mail. That's important. I'm seeing all the heads nod because, like me, you haven't thought about the Yizkor book and the names you want to put in because it's 105 degrees and it's August. But we have to prepare and print the High Holy Day books. So I and Renee and Patty, more Patty and Renee because they have to get the books ready, will appreciate your getting your books in so that you don't turn to them on October 9th or 10th and say, why isn't my family's name in the Yizkor book? So there we go. That's not just for your benefit. No one feel guilty. It's all the people listening at home. Get those books in. The deadline is coming. And yes, it may make you a little uneasy to know that we are 6 weeks till Rosh Hashanah. But take my word for it. It makes me more uneasy than you. So enjoy your Shabbat. We're going to conclude with, and John laughs, one who knows well. We conclude with the closing of 645. Lechilach. The journeys we go on. Thank you, John.
To a land that I will show you. Lech lecha, to a place you do not know. Lechilach, on your journey I will test you, and you shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing, and you shall be a blessing. Lechilach, and I shall make your name great. Lech lecha, and all shall praise your name. Lechilach, to a place that I will show you. L'simchat chayim, l'simchat chayim, l'simchat chayim, Lechilach. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. Lechilach.
Turn to page 123 for the blessing over wine. And I think I see a couple pre-bar mitzvah students. And one of the nice things we like to do is invite you to hold the Kiddush cup and hold the challah if you'd like. Getting a little hesitancy. It's not required, but you do get the first shot at grape juice. No? Okay, well, we don't want to be known for pressuring people. Page 123, we continue with the blessing over wine and juice and all sweet things for Shabbat. Baruch Adonai, what's the grape juice? Melech Haolam, Moreh Peri HaGafen. Baruch Adonai, Eloheinu, Melech Haolam, Asher Kishanu Mitzvotav V'Tzavanu V'Shabbat Kodsho B'Ahava U'Raso Yichilanu Zikaron Lemach Bereshit Ki Hu Yom Techilah L'Mikra'e Kodesh Zecher L'Tzion Mitzrayim Ki Banu Va'arta V'Otanu Kidashta Mikohami V'Shabbat Kodeshecha B'Ahava U'Ratzon In Chatanu Baruch Atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Chaim. And you know what? You've been sitting on the bima for a whole year. Tonight, Robert Simon, you get to hold the challah. We've usually got a few kids fighting over who gets to hold the challah. So you see, there you go. Your patience is rewarded. We join together. Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam motzi lechem min haaretz. Shabbat shalom. Bam, bim, bam, bim, 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 bam. Bim, bam, bim, 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 bam. Bim, 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 bam. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom.
I'm making me feel old.